Welcome back to GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Friday, February 21st. If you were just tuning in, we just finished going over the new hires for the Saints in Brandon Staley as the next defensive coordinator and the new GM for the Jaguars in James Gladstone. In this segment, we turn our attention to the offseason. What would a perfect offseason look like for the New Orleans Saints? But before we do that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Friday, February 21st. But like I was saying, we are going to get into a little bit of what a perfect offseason would be like for the Saints. And I think this segment is going to be a little bit different than the other ones we've done for the other 7 teams that we've done so far in this series. Because the Saints, I feel, can't have a perfect offseason. And I hate to say that because this is a Saints team that is just in such a bad situation that is really hard for them to get anything productive out of this offseason, right? They are currently about $50 million in the hole for cap space. That is awful. They are a team that won 5 games last season, missed the playoffs, and finished last in a division that had multiple teams in the top 10. Them and the Carolina Panthers, right? This is not a good look for the Saints, and they need to hit the reset button. So this offseason, a perfect offseason for the Saints would be to clear the books as much as humanly possible. They've kicked the can down the road so far, dealing with Drew Brees when he was there, when Sean Payton was there. They kicked contracts so far down the road, it's finally time to pay the piper. That's why I've said all offseason during the coaching cycle that this is the worst coaching situation to get into. That's why multiple coaches, multiple possible head coach candidates said, I'm withdrawing my name from this cycle. We'll put it back in for next year's cycle because the Saints' job is just not a good job. It's one that has very limited options for success. They've got so much money tied up in guys that aren't even playing for the team right now. It's just a big mess. $50 million in the hole. The Saints need to blow it up as quickly as possible. But let's take a look at some of their free agents. They've got 17 pending free agents and a bunch of guys that just kind of need to go. Edge rushers Chase Young and Peyton Turner are free agents. They brought in Chase Young in a 1-year deal. He was solid this year, but not anybody that I think is a necessity to bring back. Tight end Juwan Johnson, also a free agent this season, as well as linebacker Willie Gay Jr. Willie Gay is a player that I thought was going to come in and be a huge difference maker for this Saints defense. He only played about 25% of the team's snaps. He is a free agent after signing a 1-year contract. Safety Will Harris, also a free agent, as well as cornerback Paulson Adebo. Adebo broke his leg this season. He was pretty good before breaking his leg, but Paulson Adebo is a free agent. He's someone that I think they should really think about re-signing, especially after trading away Marshawn Lattimore to the Washington Commanders last season. Wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling, also a free agent, along with a lot of their other guys. They have 17 pending free agents. This is just not a great situation to be in. If I'm the Saints, again, I'm pressing the reset button. I'm going to say, okay, we are going to be a bad team this year. We're tanking as much as possible. If it's possible, move off of Derek Carr. There are a lot of quarterback-needy teams right now. Even though Derek Carr has a no-trade clause, he can waive it himself if you find a destination that Derek Carr would like to be traded to. That's going to make it tough because he has a lot of money locked up. In fact, the 3 biggest players that they have locked up in for cap hit, at least, in Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, and Cam Jordan are 34, 35, and 36. you either need to trade, cut, or restructure them. Find a way to get that money off of the books. You're not going to cut Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan is a New Orleans Saints legend. He might retire, but if he stays on, maybe you find a way to restructure his contract, find a way to get his big salary off of the books. Like I said, they need to start over. There are plenty of quarterback needy teams that would love to trade for a guy of Derek Carr's caliber, even as just a stopgap quarterback. I look at a team like the Raiders. Maybe they want Derek Carr back, right? Especially with the situation that they find themselves in. Maybe the Dolphins would be interested in bringing in Carr as a backup to Tua. Maybe the Giants would be interested in Carr. Again, it all depends on where Carr is interested in going. Maybe the Jets want Carr. Maybe the Steelers want Carr. There are plenty. Titans out there as well. Again, lots of teams that are quarterback needy in a not great quarterback market this season. You could get a lot for Carr. Or I won't say a lot. You could get a pretty solid number, a pretty solid amount for Carr, but you need to make sure that he is interested in going somewhere, right? He's someone I want off the books. When I say hit the reset button this season, and that's the only way for them to really have the perfect offseason, I mean it. There aren't any free agents that I'm targeting for the New Orleans Saints. If you can get a couple guys for cheap, go out and get them. At pick 9 in the NFL draft, you just take best available. I'm looking at a guy like cornerback Will Johnson out of Michigan. Maybe you get one of the edge rushers if they fall to 9. Maybe if a wide receiver like Luther Burden is really high on their board, you take him at 9. Maybe you grab a tight end to replace Taysom Hill, a Taysom Hill-esque guy in Jalen Warren. If you want to get his contract off the books, find a way to get that and get a cheaper version of him. All of these are good options, but the one word to be inspiring for this Saints offseason, the one thing that I'm looking is reset, restart, just start over, restart this franchise. You brought in a new head coach. That is a good start. They are in cap purgatory. They are not going anywhere. Negative $50 million in cap is really tough to even find yourself in, especially as we talked about yesterday, with the cap going up nearly $25 million this season. Most teams expected it to go up about $10 million. That would have put them at negative $65 million below the cap. It is just nearly impossible for them to get out of this situation and go forward with making any kind of long-term meaningful moves. Don't look to the future. Start over now. Hit the reset button. Go from -5, where you're out on a scale of 0 to 10, and just get to 0. Just get to 1. That's all you need to do this offseason. This is not an offseason where you should be particularly excited if you are a Saints fan. I'm not super excited for them. And this is the one team that I just can't see having a perfect offseason, unfortunately. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think a good offseason looks like for the Saints? What do you think they can do to get out of their situation? What do you think they can do to get that reset button hit as quickly as possible? I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we turn our attention to the MLB. The MLB season, of course, right around the corner. We continue our jaunt around the league, previewing the season for each and every team. Today, we turn our attention over to the Los Angeles Angels. We'll be right back here on GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast.